Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull. I do some contract work for the HBAR Foundation, but I'm not doing this update in any official capacity. I'm just coming to you personally to give you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. Today, we welcome back Jeremy, the co-founder of Ledgerama and Walla Wallet, to help out hosting. Thanks for coming, Jeremy.
Of course, Brandon. Happy to do it anytime.
Yeah, so our note that we always say, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So we had a kind of a quiet week this week, considering it was a holiday week. So we're going to do a top 10, the biggest things that impacted the Hedera market over the past 12 months. So the first one we're going to get into is crypto winter. We're looking at the most noteworthy and impactful things in the Hedera space, not necessarily the most positive, though most of these are going to be positive. We would be remiss not to mention the impacts of crypto winter. When all is said and done, I think that the best projects are going to rise to the top. And of course, I think Hedera is going to be one of those to rise to the top. I think Rob gave a good overview of this a couple weeks ago. So let's listen to a clip of him.
I love crypto winters because I'm a builder. And I love to see things being built, and I'm easily distracted by noise. So I like the noise to go away and building cool stuff. And wherever I look, I see cool stuff being built.
All right, Jeremy, any thoughts on number 10 on our list, the crypto winter?
Well, I tend to be a little bit more on the pessimistic side, so I would expect this crypto winter to last for a while. So get your parkas, build your campfires, and kind of batten down the hatches for what may be a long winter ride. But that's not to say that there aren't going to be positive things that come out of this period. Really, now that the cryptocurrency markets are closely tied to the macro markets, the global markets, we're going to be waiting to see some improvements in the macro scene before this winter subsides. But like I said, you're going to continue to see a lot of great things out of the space. And as we've mentioned before, this is a period of time where business developers and software developers are a little bit more reflective. And the important thing for companies going forward, in my opinion, is that startups or enterprises, really anybody building in the Web3 space in this time, you have to be building a use case that solves real world problems with Web3 technology. Any companies that are relying on speculative markets and essentially the kind of bubbles that are blown within these markets aren't going to survive. So it's the true utility. It's the companies, the startups that are building useful things that solve real problems that are going to be the winners and that are going to last through this crypto winter.
Yeah, and the small builders like you and I, I'm not fazed by it right now. And Mance mentioned a few weeks ago that the enterprises aren't fazed by it either. They're just continuing to build the applications going forward. All right, so number 9 on our list is micropayments. Of course, this is one of my favorite. Jeremy, you know how much I like micropayments. I couldn't have been more excited than what I saw come out of Drop this year. Integrating Shopify and WordPress in 2022 was invaluable. And really, it's just the first step of all the things that they have coming down the pipe. Here's a quick clip from Sushil, the CEO of Drop, discussing it a bit.
Broadly speaking, any content creator, like we were talking to a publisher, and is a pretty big publisher, and they said you basically have with Drop, you figured out how to make the publishing world get back on its feet again, just using Drop. They said you might have something really major here. People can use it. So I know anyone who creates content and publish content can use us. And once we have the other plugin, you don't even have to be a technologist. Now, most big publishing websites do have a technology team, so they can use our product right now. Our goal right now is no code. Even a single journalist can publish it. So that's our aim. But any content creator can use us. We definitely want to talk to Wikipedia, because imagine everyone making donations on Wikipedia using Drop. That would be like the most wonderful thing, because everyone gets an email from Wikipedia saying, please donate $2, $5, and people do that. That would be, now we're looking for ways to connect. We're trying to connect with them, YouTube, Twitter.
So in addition to Wikipedia, Twitter, and YouTube, I'm excited for the next steps as well. Use of Hedera micropayments in the Internet of Things, smart cities, self-driving cars, and so on. Jeremy, what do you think of what we saw come out of micropayments in 2022?
To see the integration with WordPress and Shopify for drop.cc, that's big news, of course. I mean, WordPress and Shopify, I mean, they're just everywhere online. And a nice marriage of Web 2 and Web 3. So we're really starting to see, as Web 3 kind of matures and grows into its own skin, and we start to kind of rub elbows more with the Web 2 space, you're going to see these more and more. And the drop.cc team, I mean, OpenCrowd, they're just an all-star team. Walla Wallet from the very beginning was utilizing the Dragon Glass mirror node which was developed by OpenCrowd. We've always received just stellar first-class support from the OpenCrowd team. Sean Strainer's doing great work over there. Ashu, of course, their lead developer, and Sushil, I mean, is just is an incredible thought leader in the space. One thing that I really like about OpenCrowd and the drop.cc team is their regulatory approach. They are working arm in arm with the regulators, having had some nice conversations with Sean about their relationship and how they went to FinCEN to get approval to do certain things. That FinCEN, is one of the major regulatory bodies here in the United States for financial activity. And so they really went into the open arms of the regulators, which I think is a smart move, and that's going to pay dividends for them going forward as well. And of course, micropayments are a huge use case. And like you mentioned, the Internet of Things, IoT devices sharing micropayments. We're actually working on a service within Walla Wallet right now that will help to facilitate the easy resolution of payments, and that's going to make it a lot easier for the Internet of Things to resolve payments in a quick and efficient manner. So you're going to see a lot more of that coming in the years to come.
Oh, exciting for sure. So moving on to number 8 on our list is Smart Contracts 2.0. What made the rest of our list possible, or a lot of the rest of the list, is Smart Contracts 2.0, which just launched about 10 months ago. It took the smart contract capabilities on Hedera from about 20 transactions per second to 200 to 300 transactions per second. What's more is then developers can leverage HCS and HTS at 10,000 transactions per second for collaboration with their smart contract integration, but without impacting the smart contract limitations. Another thing that's good from a network standpoint is Hedera smart contracts are high value, carrying a 5-cent fee that could bring significant value to the network. Granted, a 5-cent fee is still low compared to the rest of the field. So Jeremy, have you been impressed with what's come out of the Smart Contracts 2.0?
Definitely. Before Walla Wallet even existed, Rob and I were working on a use case that involved smart contracts on the Hedera network, and we had to put that use case on a shelf because at the time, the first implementation of smart contracts on the Hedera network had some pretty serious limitations that we really just weren't able to work past. I know some other teams like Tune.fm and Andrew Antar over there at Tune, they had some issues with the limitations of the smart contracts as well. So the teams that were building, utilizing smart contracts, we went to the Hedera development team, and we brought the issues that we ran into to them. They kind of went back to the drawing board, and they came up with a solution that's working quite nicely. So great to see the progress from the Hedera development team coming forward. And so great progress. And it's when you combine the efficiency of HTS, right, which does all these token services natively on a layer 1 technology, and then you combine the usefulness of the smart contracts, it's quite a recipe for success, and I think you're going to see some great use cases coming out of it.
Yeah, what we've seen come out of the first 10 months of Smart Contracts 2.0 has been impressive, and that's only going to accelerate going forward. So moving on to number 7 on our list, which is TradFi tokenization, so traditional finance tokenization. We had Toko coming out and starting to tokenize real-world assets, including Calcite Limited tokenizing a bond issuance earlier this year. I love the video on Toko that was just put out, and we can check out a quick excerpt real quick.
One of the ambitions around Toko is actually to democratize finance. Toko, in combination with the legal services, actually provides clients with a solution or an answer to the question, how do I fractionalize or do fundraisings or issue virtual assets in a way that is compliant and also technologically sound? When we started envisaging what does a complex security token ecosystem in a global decentralized marketplace, what does that maybe look like? And the presumption that those global financial centers that exist today in the traditional world are going to be the same ones in that new world, I think is a presumption that needs to be challenged. And then we thought to ourselves, so if that's where we want to get to, What is the technology platforms we need to bring to bear on that problem? I had the privilege of meeting with Mance and Lehman in Singapore. I can remember the breakfast at a hotel around the marina. I was just intently listening, and it was fascinating to hear that they had built a technology platform that seemed to have all of those attributes that were going to be essential for delivering the vision that we were hoping to start building towards. And to put some, points around what that meant at the time and what that looked like, it was things like the scalability. You need a protocol that's going to be capable of scaling to deal with that transaction volume. There were other features like the level of security. The consensus layer is important. I think there were other things like the stability of the network, like the fair ordering and timestamping. These were the attributes we're going to need when this global decentralized marketplace for security tokens takes off.
All right, so we also got a new council member in Aberdeen that is planning to start tokenizing their assets in 2023. And eventually they want to tokenize all of their $500 billion in assets. And that was before the CEO for the largest non-sovereign asset manager in the world, BlackRock, said that tokenization was the future for markets. Scott with Toko coined the term total value represented, and that's pretty much what they're talking about here. They're going to represent these assets with tokens, and that could become a metric that's measured just like total value locked we use right now in DeFi. And I think Hedera is well positioned to take the lead in this metric if it does catch adoption in the space. So then late in this year, we heard about the first functioning traditional financial exchange launching on Hedera with the Digital Commodities Exchange. This was a bit of a shock to me, but of course, welcome. Here's a clip explaining what they have in the works for the next 6 months. From a tech perspective, what are your plans for the future? Do you see eventually tokenizing the assets and using smart contracts as we see with decentralized exchanges?
Yeah, very much so. So that's very much in our roadmap for the next 6 months. As we've sort of mentioned earlier, we're trying to digitalize the first 90% of the journey of what is a long contract, and then move on to the last 10%. And the vision that we have is that if you can imagine a trade, we'd like to tokenize that trade. And as then people book within the ecosystem, freight or the shipping or the insurance or the finance or the inspection, we actually add to that asset or that token through its life cycle, which can in essence be 3 to 6 months. And as we build up the attributes on that token, we will then have that available for the insurance companies and the finance companies to then allow for payment to happen automatically without documentation being sent through the post. That's one aspect we're looking at. Other aspects we're looking at the tail end of that journey is payments, allowing digital payments. We've been approached by a number of interested partners who are looking to SaaS the environment. If we would take digital payments, which is an option we're looking at as well. And as we have a lot of identity information, how can we sort of almost tokenize or work with individuals or other providers on the ecosystem to build a tokenized identity, like almost not sovereign identity, but a company-based identity where we can then start sharing information about KYC, AML, credit histories, as well as to help build out that ecosystem. So they're the aspects in the roadmap which we're trying to accomplish in the next 6 months or so.
So, Jeremy, as I kind of mentioned, this one snuck up on me. Do you have any thoughts about Hedera's use in traditional financial markets?
Well, sure. Yeah. Traditional finance markets are the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and they're starting to move in. And so watch out, because there's going to be a lot of noise made by some of these. Dr. Baird said it, about a year ago. He said, tokenize everything. The world would be tokenized. And we're starting to see the dawn of that. And just like in traditional financial markets, they utilize things like mortgages to bundle into different financial products and services. You're going to see the tokenization of everything from real estate to kilowatt hours to barrels of oil. All of these things are going to be tokenized. And when you combine those with the efficiency of the markets in the Web3 space, it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of that. Like I said, traditional finance, just like Web 2, as the Web 3 space matures and develops, we start to rub elbows with the Web 2 space. We're going to start rubbing more elbows with the traditional finance space as well. And I look forward to seeing the sparks fly in there.
Yeah, it'll just get more exciting in the years to come. So the only reason I'm not putting number 6 higher is because they have so much that's been announced, but it's yet to launch. But what's happening with Hedera Gaming has been super impressive in 2022. First we have not just one, but 2 AAA games that are planning on launching on Hedera in Lithos' Ashfall and then Cosmium. A reminder, a AAA game are games with $100 million budgets or thereabouts. Lithos has been pumping out all kinds of awesome teasers for their games, and they just put out some new beautiful concept art this past week. I can't say enough for other organic games that are being built on Hedera. Earthlings with their gaming metaverse, and there are so many others worth noting. We have Astronova, we have Hederian Dragons, Vavel, Realm, Nada with Slime World, and of course that list goes on. We also have some impressive games in the sports space. This includes officially FIFA licensed Own the Zone and Road Code. I'll include the soon-to-launch Karate Combat app in gaming as well. They're doing some really exciting stuff. Of course, I'm really involved with Karate Combat, and I think they're really onto something. Have you been following the Hedera gaming space, Jeremy?
Yeah, definitely. Of course, one thing that didn't get mentioned is the addition of Ubisoft, the game producer, to the Hedera Governing Council.
Of course.
So that's a huge part of the equation. They've got a vested interest to make sure that this platform is successful within the gaming industry. And like you mentioned, we've got everything from the AAA games that are well capitalized and are going to create beautiful products. Then you've got teams that I kind of feel like are in the middle, like the teams like Earthlings that are also doing incredibly beautiful things. I mean, just, when you look at some of the demos that are coming out of Earthlings and the products that they're creating, they really know how to build community. And from what I've seen, it looks like they really know how to build a great game as well. And then all the way down at the end, you've got something like Slime World, which is just really kind of a super simple, almost silly use case. But it's a great game that's getting all kinds of traction. They have really kind of taken particularly the South Korean market by storm. And the Nada token, I mean, you consistently see Nada in the top 10. So congratulations to the Slime World team for doing that as well. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff going on in the gaming space.
Yeah, all kinds of games being built on top of Hedera. I know Lehman often used it as an example of what could be done, and they're taking it and running with it. That's for sure. So number 5 on the list, we've been waiting for a long time, and that's Hedera native staking. Of course, we've been waiting a long time for this, but we finally got it. I see this as another promise kept in Hedera's extensive roadmap. And I have one other thing to say: 6.5%. Jeremy, you've been in the Hedera community for a really long time. What were your thoughts on Hedera native staking actually coming to fruition this year?
Well, of course, our lead developer and CTO, Rob Keynes, and myself, of course, we had our eyes on native staking from the very beginning, and we knew that as soon as native staking hit the ground, we wanted to hit the ground with it running, and fully supported native staking from day one, which I'm proud to say that we did accomplish that. So as soon as native staking was live on Hedera, it was live within Walla Wallet. And for us, it's been just a process of improving the ease of use of the staking mechanism, whether that's collecting rewards or seeing how long it is before the next time that your rewards are available, and working with the community, working with folks in the retail space on helping them understand how the native staking works, what all the different things mean, how often they can reward, does it compound, and all those things. And that's really, to me, has been the most exciting part of the native staking, aside from seeing bonus HBAR, coming into your account all the time, which is really nice. But it's awesome to see folks from outside of the Web3 space, like when we talk to attorneys, we talk to accountants, we talk to people that really have very little to no involvement in the Web3 space. But when you mention 6.5% and you mention how easy it is with something like Walla Wallet to get in there, get some HBAR stake, I mean, it's great returns. It's super easy. And like you said, I mean, Hedera met their roadmap goal. And staking is just, I mean, it's a proof of stake network. So, I mean, the importance of staking on Hedera can't be overstated, and it finally happened. So,
yeah,
awesome.
It was good to see, and I'm sure it's going to be leveraged throughout DeFi. It's just impressive with what Hedera has done, along with, of course, Swirlds Labs to implement it. I was happy to see it for sure. So the next one that I want to talk about is in the environmental space. ESG is number 4 on our list. You can just feel that this is going to be big on Hedera, and the Guardian, that standard, seems to be at the center of this. The HBAR Foundation Sustainable Impact Fund has definitely been very busy. The amount of things being built on Hedera in this space is shocking. From Dovu, Timeliz, Aniseed, Evercity, Perini, Redemption DAO, Cryptsy, Object Computing. I'm sure I'm missing some. We got Temua, Envision Blockchain, and there's so much more. Of course, Hedera and the HBAR Foundation had a huge presence at COP27, and that's where a lot of these standards are being hammered out. So I was just impressed with this across the board. Jeremy, have you been following what we've been reporting and what's been going on in the environmental space and the environmental use cases that are being built on top of Hedera?
Yeah, ESG and sustainability are going to continue to be a focus. It's something that it's not going away. We're going to continue to hear about these from global leaders, thought leaders, industry leaders. You've seen from our own regulatory body, the Security and Exchange Commission, the SEC, and the chair, Gary Gensler, talking about, what information do investors need and want to see about the companies that they're investing in regards to their sustainability and their ESG metrics. So that's something that's going to continue to play a part. And, with Hedera meeting up with the folks from the World Economic Forum up at Davos, and we know that the folks up at Davos are really focused on the sustainability movements as well. So you're going to continue to see this story play out over and over again. And Hedera, continuing its theme of efficiency, when you look at how Hedera stacks up against other DLTs in the space, I mean, it is just far above and beyond the level of efficiency. So these are the kinds of things that we love to see. Even with improvements in other networks, Hedera just, again, by far, outpaces its competitors in the sustainability and efficiency category.
And you don't have to take our word for it. Of course, University College London came out with that study showing that Hedera was the most efficient, even more efficient than centralized systems like Visa. And I saw that Cointelegraph, who usually covers Hedera fairly, they came out with a story talking about, the efficiency of different platforms out there, and they actually left Hedera off. Of course, Hedera is more efficient than all of them on that list. So hopefully the next time they do a similar story, they'll cover Hedera in there as well. But either way, Hedera's efficiency makes it a natural home for environmental use cases. And that's certainly what we're seeing come out of the ESG space. All right, Jeremy, number 3 on our list is something that you're really involved with, and that's the Hedera ecosystem infrastructure, which has absolutely exploded. Growth of the Hedera ecosystem infrastructure has been really impressive. And Jeremy, a big part of that is our wallets, which of course you're an expert on. Jeremy, would you mind explaining what we're seeing come out of the Hedera wallet corner of the infrastructure space?
Sure, you're seeing an increase in adoption and an increase in developer activity and enthusiasm. When we started off, Walla Wallet was the very first fully supported mobile wallet in the Hedera ecosystem. And it's both a great place to be and a scary place to be when you're the only one building. It's great because you don't have any competitors in the space, and you can kind of just take the ecosystem by storm. But it's also kind of a scary place to be in because if you don't have any competitors in a market, you're probably not in a very good market to be in. So to see the other wallets coming online, of course, Hashpack just knocking it out of the park. Big shout out to the Hashpack team and what they've done. May and the team over at Hashpack, I mean, they do incredible work. They're incredible at community building. So big hats off to them. And all the work that they're doing in the Hedera improvement proposal space is really cool too. And then you've got, teams like the Blade Wallet team. I mean, of course, we know Sammy Mian is a key player in the Hedera ecosystem and has been for a while. And he's got his ear to the ground, looking out for all those great enterprise use cases and utilizing his connections there. There's others as well. I mean, Flash Wallet. You see a handful. There's a bunch of other wallets that are coming out in the ecosystem, and so we love to see that. And then of course you've got teams and projects like Hashport. Those are hugely important to our ecosystem because they're building the bridges to other DLT, other Web3 ecosystems. And that's how others are going to find their way into the Hedera ecosystem. And even if they don't decide to build directly on Hedera, they can see the usefulness. And there are ways that Hedera can provide utility to other Web3 platforms. So Hashport, with building the bridges and creating those inroads for other Web3 platforms to come into the Hedera ecosystem, incredibly important.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And with wallets and the interoperability bridges, you're just scratching the surface. I love a quote from Rich from Google Cloud. He said in a Hedera hosted Twitter space that they are focused on building the tools needed to bring the next 10 million developers into Web3 to onboard the next billion users. We have so many teams that are doing just that, including Archaea, LedgerWorks, Hashgraph.io, Metrica, JoeGet, and they're creating all kinds of developer solutions. And you mentioned Hashport. They're really coming into their own, with the DeFi space coming online. And of course, we have centralized solutions that are still important as well. Of course, we had Coinbase list HBAR this year. And though centralized exchanges are a bit tainted right now, that on-ramp is going to be really important in the future. Jeremy, do you have any other thoughts you'd like to get into when it comes to the exploding infrastructure that's being built in the Hedera ecosystem?
Well, it was really fun to see Coinbase come online and support Hedera. Like you said, centralized exchanges are obviously under the gun right now, and they're experiencing the heat. But Coinbase is an incredibly important ramp for many retail investors, particularly within the United States. It is definitely the preferred on ramp into the space. So it was fun to see Hedera come online with Coinbase. And and while centralized exchanges are feeling the pain right now, they still have their place in the environment, in the ecosystem. And as we, hopefully the regulators can come up with some clear lines, some clear rules of the road that don't stifle innovation. Of course, that's like we talked about last week. That's always the game: is can they lay sensible, rational regulatory lines without stifling innovation? And I think that we'll be successful in that regard. And projects, companies like Coinbase and the products and services that they provide are hugely important.
Yeah, couldn't agree more on that one. So now let's move on to number 2. This could have easily been number 1 as well, and that's NFTs. What our NFT space has done organically was incredible, but this year they got support as well. The creators like Hangry Dead Pixels, Batty Hattie, I got his T-shirt on today, Batty Hattie, Hashgraph Punks, and so many more have been on fire. And now they have great marketplaces and launch pads like HSuite, Hash Access, Turtle Moon, and Zeus to take those creators really to the next level. I spent some time in other platforms' NFT ecosystem discussions, and the difference is night and day. I mean, our NFT creators are super collaborative, they're really friendly, and really what's been built was highlighted at a few events this year. NFT NYC was a great example of that, and now we're moving into utility as well. Earthlings is doing that with their game. Of course, I have my company, Twigital, that's going to be coming online with their app over this next quarter. And I think we have to remember what Rob said just a few weeks ago.
NFTs, the fantastic NFT community we've got. And as I keep saying, NFTs, everything's going to be tokenized. And pretty much, unless it's a fungible token, by definition, it's going to be a non-fungible token. Mm-hmm. So everything that the NFT community are putting in place now are the foundations of pretty much everything that is going to be built on Hedera in the future.
So, Jeremy, like Rob mentioned, this is going to set the foundation for a lot of things that are going to be built in the space. As we know, the world is going to be tokenized, and NFTs are going to be the basis for that. Also, we have LG. We have corporates getting involved and incorporating NFTs into their TVs. What are your thoughts of what we've seen come out of the Hedera NFT space?
We obviously think that NFTs are going to be hugely important for the long term. Both for the creators and for the NFTs. We also think that there's a lot of implications for local economies utilizing the tokens. When we launched version 2.0 of Walla Wallet, of course, we support NFTs in a gallery mode, but really what I see as the more exciting element of that is the support for the different features and functionalities that are capable, that the Hedera network is capable of supporting with these NFTs. As an example, multimedia files, embedded videos, PDFs, file nesting, all the things that you can do with an NFT that really make it useful and help it go beyond eternal JPEGs, which are incredibly fun. And since we've launched version 2.0 of Walla Wallet, it's been a great experience to kind of take our foot off the gas pedal a little bit with just building and focusing on the tech within Walla Wallet, and to really kind of start reaching out and talking to the creators within the NFT ecosystem. Like you mentioned, really warm crowd, really supportive. It's great to see each other. It's great to see the teams kind of supporting each other in all these efforts. You just can't say enough about the Hedera NFT ecosystem. And then when you see use cases like we talked about last week with Timeless coming on, they're adding real utility, just pure utility that they're putting into the NFTs. And that's what gets us excited, is, you know, seeing the usefulness of it. And that's what I think other folks in the Web 2 and in the general economy are going to see, the usefulness of these things, and it's going to take off and catch on like wildfire.
Yeah, I agree. And actually, the media's starting to catch on some of this. I saw on AMB Crypto, the author was asking why Hedera might pull off a surprising comeback in 2023's NFT market. And he even implies that, you know, this could have an impact on the HBAR market. So that was certainly good to see. And let's finish it off with a drum roll. We'll go into the number one thing from this year. I have to give it to Hedera DeFi. It's not easy to pick a number one for the year, but I'm going to have to go with DeFi on this one. You know, between the launch of some very impressive platforms with SaucerSwap, HeliSwap, and Stater, it really gave retail users the ability to get their hands on Hedera and see what it's capable of. You know, you really have something good when I saw there was a competitor's influencer that highlighted the top 10 fastest DeFi platforms out there, and his happened to be number two, but number one was SaucerSwap. And of course, any DeFi platform that's built on Hedera is going to be just as fast, but they were actually highlighting SaucerSwap in that instance. What's more is we have so much to look forward to in the new year. We have HSuite that's building a DEX using Lehman Baird's own vision, and we have other promising DEXs like Lehman Swap that I'm super excited about. And they actually just came out with a promo showing their user interface, which was really impressive. I think they're really onto something. And they're focused on tokenomics, which is good as well. And again, this is a proof of concept for something we talked about earlier, and that's traditional finance, you know, which may move up this list significantly going into next year. But DeFi really is building the building blocks similar to what NFTs are doing in a different space. So, Jeremy, I was really impressed with what I saw come out of our DeFi space this year, pretty much going from 0 to 10 in no time. They're doing a really great job. Have you messed around at all with DeFi, and have you been following this space?
Absolutely. And I think of DeFi as really the evolution of traditional finance. You know, a lot of people ask me, you know, people that aren't in the Web3 space, they say, well, what's the point? Right? What are you guys building? What's the point of this Web3 space, cryptocurrency? What is it that you guys are really trying to do? And at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is evolve the traditional financial space and introduce efficiencies into these markets. And so the current iterations of DeFi are really the ground level, right? These are the proofs of concept. These are the companies and the teams that are really blazing a trail in the financial world in general. Teams like SaucerSwap, absolutely killing it. HSuite with the smart nodes and bringing real Hedera native speeds into the DeFi space, super exciting. Lehman Swap is killing it too. I mean, I think it was just yesterday they had round 6 of their pre-sale, and I know some of the folks on the Lehman Swap team over there, and I think that they're going to do very well. So it's an exciting space. It's a risky space in some ways. So, you know, of course, people, you know, beware out there. It's not without its own risks, but it is an exciting space to watch, and I think right now, DeFi is a great number one that you've picked, because I think it is really kind of leading the space as activity kind of slows down in the Web3 space, and the markets, the market's going down, and you know there's a lot of companies kind of going into this more reflective building stage. But DeFi is still running strong, and I think these are going to be the use cases that'll kind of continue with their momentum and the steam that they've got. They're going to continue to pull us through the crypto winter that we're currently experiencing.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's really just fun to watch going from that zero step and seeing where we've gotten to by the end of the year. It's been impressive. All right, so that wraps up our countdown. We have had a bit of a slow news week, but there has been a few things to come out that I want to cover. So the first one was Coupon Bureau. So Coupon Bureau puts out a regular newsletter, and I get it. Of course, I'm subscribed. That's one of the big use cases that people are looking forward to, including at Mayo. Coupon Bureau is planning on essentially building the standards of the coupons in the United States on Hedera. And I know a lot of people are wondering when it's coming. So according to their newsletter, they're planning on launching it in Q1. So I was excited to see that.
Yeah, we're really excited by the coupon use cases as well. One of the things that we look forward to doing with Walla Wallet is providing retail merchants with the ability to create their own coupons. So I look forward, we're kind of waiting with bated breath to see what the Coupon Bureau, how they're going to lead in that space. And people that have heard me speak in the past know that geolocation-based coupons are some of my favorite use cases. So I really look forward to seeing what the Coupon Bureau's got for us in Q1 here.
Yeah, so I know there was some enterprise use cases mixed in with our top 10, but a lot of it was retail focused. But next year, I think we're going to certainly have some more enterprise focused use cases hitting that top 10 as well. Another thing that came up from last week was Christian did that interview with us, and he talked about a Twitter ban. So there was all kinds of questions around that. I did inquire with him to try to get some answers. He mentioned that they aren't sure why they were banned for about 3 months, but he assumed it had something to do with crypto. That was a little bit confusing to him, though, considering some of the competitors were also putting ads on at the time. But it took about 3 months to get it resolved, and now they are allowed to put ads up there again. So I just want to answer some questions I got from the community on that. All right, and with that, we'll get into some network analysis. Right now, we are at about 550,000 transactions over the past 24 hours, and about 15,000 of those have been smart contracts, showing that our DeFi ecosystem is still chugging along. Time to consensus is just over 5 seconds, just like last week. The account creation has gone down a little bit over the past few days, but it's still holding fairly strong. As far as our fungible token summary, we have Energy Trade Token with their faucet at number 1. We also have Sauce, Wrapped HBAR, Dovu, USDC, and HBAR X in our top 10. Oh, we have Jam there as well. I know you guys have some collaborations with that team. And as far as our non-fungible tokens, in the top 10, we have the Hashgraph naming service is up there. We have Web3 Smart Domains, which is another naming service that we have. We see Earthlings in there. Wizards is in there. So our NFTs are still creating some good transactions on the network. And we actually got something that took me by surprise this week. Coinman, the H Barbarian, huge shout out to him. He gets all kinds of great news. And Danny Eads did a Twitter thread on this as well. So according to Coinman, Kuvra, the Arab world's leading sports media platform in the MENA region, they have 25 million unique monthly users, is entering Web3 through the creation of Spearhead PFPs, a sports-based blockchain NFT platform with NFTs ranging from memorabilia to event ticketing. Did you catch this one, Jeremy?
Yeah, the ticketing use case is one of our absolute favorites. Being able to see a ticket as an NFT with the complete experience bundled in, from entry into the venue to the tour art, to the unique songs or performances from a concert, or being embedded within it, to pictures from the concerts and the tour. I mean, all of the entire experience being bundled into one ticketing NFT experience, I think is really exciting.
Yeah, I agree. It's no longer just going to be t-shirts you can get at those concerts. You're going to be able to wrap everything into an NFT, which would be fun. So, okay, we're going to move on to DeFi. We'll start off with Saucer Swap. They have $17.6 million total value locked. As far as their farming rewards on some of their popular pairs, we have HBAR USDC at 51%, HBAR Sauce at 43%, and HBAR X at about 19%. Moving on to their LP rewards, which of course are on top of the farming rewards, HBAR X is at about 0.6%. We have Sauce HBAR at 0.9% and USDC HBAR at about 7%. And HeliSwap is still sitting at about $5.3 million total value locked. And as far as their farming rewards, HBAR X is at about 16%. HBAR USDC is at 57%, and Ohm USDC and Ohm HBAR are both at about 70%. Not much to pass on with Stater's liquid staking. The numbers are about the same as what we saw last week. And that brings us to our HBAR and crypto markets. Bitcoin is down about 2% over the past 7 days and about 1% over the past 24 hours. And there's no question that HBAR has underperformed over the past week, being down about 11% over the past week and about 5% over the past 24 hours. HBAR right now is sitting at about 3.8 cents. It's had a hard 24 hours, as I mentioned. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to see any support. You can go way back and see some support between 2.8 and 3 cents, but that's going back a while. As far as resistance, I'd expect to see some resistance at 4 cents, 4.4 cents, and then up around 5.1 cents as well if we go on a good run. All right, Jeremy, that's about all I have for this week. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on to the community?
Well, we certainly didn't expect to see HBAR down at these levels. I think that's kind of a shock to see it for everybody, to see us down in the 3 cent range. But, as we've mentioned before, it's not a time to get discouraged. It's just a time to be more reflective and to solve real problems with the technology that we know is the best in the ecosystem. And then just as a final note, I just want to thank everybody for their support, throughout 2022. I know that'll continue on to 2023. Of course, the HBAR Foundation, with all the support, that they've put forth for small startups and larger companies as well. And then, of course, the enthusiasts, the builders, whether they're business developers or software developers, there's a lot of support. That we're all working you can feel that we're all working to make the world a better place, which is pretty unique, I think, in a business sense, to see people that are really geared towards making the world, a better place to live in for tomorrow. So looking forward to great things coming out of 2023, and looking forward to continuing the conversation with all the folks in the Hedera ecosystem and beyond.
Well said, Jeremy. And I will give a huge shout out to the Hedera community for 2022 as well. This is a Stronger Together shirt from one of our NFT creators, Batty Hattie. Thank you very much for the shirt. I appreciate it. But that's a great note to leave on. We are stronger together. This ecosystem is collaborating and doing so many fantastic things. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching all year. Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week.